Okay, it's spring of 2020. This will be the second year of me camping on solar power in my truck. I'm in the bed of my truck right now. These are my two batteries that I take out on the weekend. And down that crack right there is the shunt resistor coming off the negative line that powers this meter. You can see my batteries are topping out right now. I've got the panel hooked up, but that's the shunt resistor down there. Down here is the fuse that protects the inverter, and I've got both of them in there cushioned pretty well so they can't come up here and short out with the leads. And in the interest of having a truly balanced load and charging situation, I've got the negative on this battery going to the inverter, and I've got the positive on this battery going to the inverter, because that loads and charges the batteries in a balanced manner. So nothing real different from last year other than that hookup. The one upgrade I did was I installed terminal blocks. And the reason I had to do that is because I wasn't able to tap my DC connections off of the fuse block, which is behind the inverter here. Here's the inverter, here's the charge controller. And same as last year, it's a pretty compact situation here. But behind the inverter is a fuse block that I ran all my common connections to. And I wasn't able to connect DC to it. I had to connect DC to the batteries, and when I did that, the current path bypassed this meter, and I wasn't really showing my true power consumption when I hooked my DC refrigerator up or my lunchbox oven. So now I have a common connection with these terminal blocks, and now all my DC power consumption will show on the meter. What's connected here, this runs to the battery, positive connection to the battery. Those are my two DC connections for my DC plugs. That's the inverter, the positive connection going to the inverter, and that goes to the fuse block, and which essentially this is from the charge controller. Over here we got the negative for my DC plugs. This runs to the batteries. This one down here runs to the inverter, and then there's the negative that goes to the fuse block or the charge controller. There's one of my DC plugs. The other one is a little bit hidden. It has an extension on it, so I can run DC all the way out the back of my truck. That's so I can put my lunchbox oven on the tailgate. That's all that's for. I ran an extension. You can see the charge controller is active. It's connected to the batteries. And just like last year, my AC is here. And all this is an extension cord that runs around the back of the truck and plugs into the inverter. But you can see the light's on, the system is running, the inverter is powering the light. And coming out of the charge controller is the cables for the 50-watt solar panel. Now actually I use 100-watt when I'm camping, but this is just to top the batteries off. But that's my install this year. The only upgrade really is the two terminal blocks. There's one other small thing I guess I could mention. I used all season Gorilla glue tape to keep that cardboard over my window, because I tried two different, I won't mention the brand name, but I tried two other brands and they failed. And this Gorilla glue tape, all season glue tape, it lasted all through last summer, and it got up to 120 degrees and hotter in that cab, and it lasted all winter. So I think it's good to go. But just a couple minor upgrades this year.